Hey guys, welcome back to the special weeknight edition of National HSFB.com. I'm your host, Larry Godwin. My counterpart in the upper right-hand corner of your screen is Joe Mamone with Prep Gridiron Logistics. Joe, we've had a lot of fun this year interviewing the most prominent head football coaches across the country. Mainly, we've talked to these guys before they go into big games or as they're preparing for the season. Tonight's a special treat, guys, because we're talking to head coach Claude Mathis with the DeSoto Eagles, because this is a post-game interview because he just got through knocking off a huge rival in the Duncanville Panthers. So, Coach, congratulations and welcome back to the program.
I appreciate you guys having me, man, and appreciate that. I mean, it was a big win for us, and we're very happy to get that win right there. But we know it's more to come, so I appreciate that being especially on the show tonight.
And Larry, you know he's a special guy when this is the second time we've had him on our show.
I know, man. I know. Can't wait.
Only a few coaches could say that. You know, Jason Negro from Bosco, Jude Joseph from Miami Central, and now Coach Mathis.
That's right. That's right.
So, I'm in high regards, man. I'm in high regards, sincerely high regard coaches.
So, Coach, you were with us back in last April of 2022. What man, has time flown, and look at all the greatness you've achieved, especially of late. Last time you were with us, you talked about the Battle of the Beltline. Was that this game or was that Cedar Hill? I don't remember. Which one is that?
That was a Cedar Hill game.
So
we won that one too as well.
Good. So you're right now. You're owning the Beltline right now. So congrats about that. And a lot of articles. I got a little pissed off because we follow you closely, and I personally knew that this game, that this past weekend, I knew you had a shot from day one. In some instances we picked you to win, but when I was reading the clippings after the fact, words were like being used like shockwaves and upset.
Exactly.
That's bull. I mean, it's total bull. I mean, you were right there. My complaint about the Panthers were they hadn't been tested this year.
Yeah.
If you looked, they hadn't been tested, and boom, they play a team like you that has been tested, strength of schedule wise, and you put it to them. I mean, you beat them by that score, but anyone who saw it live, you were a good 4 touchdowns better that day. So tell me, has your community embraced you yet this year, or are you still, I saw one poll, the big guy that everybody talks about in Texas, Dave Campbell, he still has freaking North Shore ahead of you in the state, which is mind-boggling. But do you use that as motivation, or you just ignore it?
Motivation pisses us off. It really does. And when Dallas Morning News puts shock, that pisses us off because it wasn't no shock. I mean, it was a shock to them because they had us pick to lose, and not to us. Now we expected to win that game as well as every game that we play. So no, it does piss us off. And our community has been great. Our community has been embraced me from day one since I've been in that community. The DeSoto community is the best community to be in, and wonderful fans out there, and our student body is awesome. Our school district is awesome. But no, it does piss our kids off, and we're just tired of it. And you win a game, and somehow, some ways, they still make excuses in the paper about they had some guy first half, and this guy may be banged up. Man, whatever. We didn't even play with Tiger. We didn't even complain. I mean, that's one of our best running backs across the nation, and it is what it is. But we're tired of it, man. I mean, we get no respect, and it's one of those things where you just got to go out there and continue to play. And as long as we continue to win championships, I'm good.
Yep. So, hey, Larry. So this was DeSoto's first win against the Duncanville since 2016. They broke Duncanville's 22-game winning streak.
Yeah.
The last time the Panthers had lost was in the 2021 chip against North Shore out of Houston. And they had a 47-game district winning streak snapped. And still, DeSoto's not getting the respect locally. They're getting it nationally. Coach, there are 9 major polls in America. And right now you're ranked between 4 and 12, which is nice. You keep doing what you're doing, and you're going to keep creeping up. Because you got to remember, the 2 California teams already have losses. Mater Dei has a loss, Bosco has a loss. So you're still, you being undefeated with the likes of Shaman Madonna and IMG and Bishop Gorman. You're right there, man. And so if you go, in Texas, it's 14-game season, correct? Or is it 16? I forget.
16, but we're going to play 15 this year just because it was one game short this year.
Yeah, that's a crazy long season. Oh my God.
Coach,
I don't know if is there any state that plays 16. I think Florida plays 14. I don't remember, but that's such a long season. It's unbelievable.
That is a long season.
Yeah.
Coach, you talked about community a while ago. This was a much anticipated game, right? Everybody was looking forward to this game. SB Live Sports called it, quote, the game of the year in the Lone Star State, unquote. They were number one. Duncanville was number one. You guys were number two. What was the atmosphere like around your program, your community leading up to this game?
You know what? It was unbelievable. I had to depend on my recruiting coordinator as well as my co-offensive coordinator and passing game coordinator and Kerry Sweeney. And our athletic administrative assistant is Marcy and Cochran. And tell you right now, those two helped me get through this thing when it comes to tickets, when it comes to the media. I mean, the media request was unbelievable. We had over 60, and we're allowed 40 something in there.
Yeah.
And it was crazy, guys. I mean, it was unbelievable crazy because I'm an athletic director as well, not just a head football coach. So I had to take care of the athletic director part of it too as well. And then we had to come up with an operations plan that make sure that our security, the safety of the stadium and the people that's going to be inside the stadium. So it wasn't easy. I was wearing two hats, and it wasn't easy at all. And I was able to do that, but I had some special help with those two people right there. But it was crazy. We had cars outside lined up beside the fence, people on the fence, people on top of trucks looking at the game. I mean, it was crazy. We had over about close to 10,000 people that were there. The sidelines were packed. Fans were going crazy, and we made big plays. They just erupted. It was almost like a state championship game. But the environment was unbelievable. The atmosphere was rocking. It was great. It was Texas high school football at its best.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Hey, Larry, I read somewhere, and Coach, I read somewhere that overnight you had a pretty good Instagram account, but now I heard you have over 30,000 followers.
Whoa.
Yeah, we do. I think,
Coach, I didn't know you were a social influencer.
I'm not. I don't know what happened.
His program is, man. His program is when you.
It was crazy. It was crazy.
When you scored, remember they scored 49 on Duncanville, and it should have been more. That's a third most anybody has scored on them in the last, since 2015. So it was huge, and I told Coach he's at his tipping point right now. He really is. He's at that point, man, where if he gets over the hump this season, man, this could be he could be Duncanville and North Shore for the next 6, 7, 10 years.
Our program is really, really thriving. And the thing about it is, we just got to continue doing what we're doing and take one game at a time. And, whatever happens, it happens. But, our kids are excited. We have a great class coming in next year. Our junior highs are awesome. Our sub-varsity levels are doing great. But the kids are buying into our culture, and our culture is great right now. And the administration has been great. The school support, the student body has been supporting us like crazy. So it's going well, but our fans are awesome right now. The DeSoto community has been such a great influence on us and supporting us throughout this whole ordeal right now that we can't thank them enough.
Coach, this game was billed like, if I had to describe it, it's probably billed like a big heavyweight fight, right? And it lived up to the hype. It really did. Both teams played well, especially on offense, lived up to the hype. As a coach, how does it feel to coach in such a crazy environment leading up to the game, during the game? I bet you were exhausted after the game.
I really was. I mean, it's especially, because they was delayed. I mean, we discussed it. Supposed to play it on Friday, had a huge weather delay, big old storm system came through there and canceled everything. So we had to go take care of the kids and let them know about the game and try to get them home and get back up the next morning. My coaches try to get my coaches out of there. And the night before, I didn't sleep at all. I didn't sleep at all. We had some kids that, it was hard, but we wanted our kids to be successful and everything. So we tried to get them out there as fast as we could, but also had them mentally ready to play the game. So it kudos to a lot of the coaches, but it was a long, entire, I should say 24 hours just trying to wake up and get back to the game and get everything started. And then I guess as the AD, the stadium was dirty, so I had to come make phone calls, get the stadium cleaned up. I mean, dude, it was exhausting, very exhausting, but it was worth it. If I was going to get another W like that, I would take it. So it's worth it. But it was good.
Larry, we forget that he's the head coach, but he's also the AD.
Yeah. That's tough when you wear two hats.
There's not many coaches that we speak to that has both roles at this level, at this elite level.
Yeah, it's hard. I can tell you right now, it's hard, but it's worth it. And I have great support from my administrators. I have great support from my coaches that pitch in a lot. I mean, my coaches really help me out in doing some things, especially when it's time for other sports to kick in. But I just have a great supporting cast right now, and I can't thank my coaches enough.
That's great. Hey, Coach, last time we spoke back in April, I asked you to educate me and Larry on, your team. And the first thing out of your mouth was you couldn't talk more about your freshmen who are now sophomores. And especially when you first mentioned Dalen, you didn't even talk about his football prowess. You talked about what a great track athlete he was. Yeah. Tell me about your youngsters and how they've matured in the last 18 months.
That class has been great, man. I mean, they're juniors right now, but that class has been really the class that I was talking about is Tiger and Dalen and those guys right there. They bring a significant different breed. You got Camden Mathis in that class too as well, and you got Smooth, and you just got a lot of great guys. You got Marshall, you got Kiki. I mean, gosh, that class is loaded, and that's the class that I was talking about right there. That was so loaded. Then you got the freshman class with Feaster and those guys coming in right now. I got a bunch of freshmen that are playing JV, and a couple of them still playing on varsity as well. So the class is one of those classes that are very special. They don't know how to lose. All they've done is win. They've been a part of my culture since they're freshmen, and it's some of them in the junior high as well. So they're used to this, but they don't like losing. They will not accept losing, and those are kind of kids that you want to be in your program. That's a program that you can build around to be successful. And those kids that we have.
Coach, you were talking about, let me back up a little bit. Before we started this interview tonight, when you popped on the screen, we were kind of talking about how well your offense did. Leading into this game, Duncanville, they were known to have a quote-unquote stifling defense. They were 7-0 heading to this game. Their defense was averaging, I think, less than 4 points a game, right? But you hung 49 on a pretty good Duncanville team. It kind of reminds me of that old question, Joe, is what happens when an unstoppable force meets an immovable object? Coach, your offense was the unstoppable force that night. How did your offense pull that off? Is that something that you've been doing all year long? Is that something you knew it was going to happen? How did you score almost at will on this Duncanville defense?
Our offense has been doing it all year long. They really have. But when you face another defense, a different defense, and a really stifling defense that we played, you got to be able to coach. You got to be able to freaking coach and put a great game plan together and have your kids go out there and execute it. And so I give big kudos out to our coaches because I really do believe that we had a hell of a game plan in all three phases of that game. And I know we're talking about offense, but it was all three phases of that game right there that we played successful. But to put 49 points on those guys and still think and still know that we should have probably had 2 more touchdowns that we left out there, and we did all this without Tiger, that said a lot about our offense. But our kids were prepared, man. Our coaches had our kids prepared. They knew what to do. They knew how to went after it and execute it. And it was just a wonderful sight to see that, especially after you coached all week long. And they're out there having fun too, man. They were having fun. They really were.
Hey, Coach, that first play of the game, Larry, I don't know if you know, the first play of the game from scrimmage was a 76-yard touchdown pass to Dalen. How long ago did you plan that? Or did you just see something on film and said, let's just try it?
We saw a lot on video. We saw a lot of video that we liked. We just had to put them in the defense that we want them to be in. And so we was in different formations in order to get what we wanted. And once we got what we wanted, we took our shots. And, we happened to win that battle right there. And, I mean, anytime you guard our kids out there one-on-one, I mean, we love our chances. We do. And one time you want to roll the safety over the top, and we love our chances of running the ball. So, I mean, you got to pick your poison with us. And like I said before, we put them in the right formation, and we attacked them right out the bat. We want to attack them right out the gate. We did. We want to jump on them early and see how they will respond, because I didn't think they would respond very well with their offense and trying to come back. I just didn't think they would do that. And fortunately, we were right.
Yeah, they had never been put in that situation all season.
No, they have not. And we want to definitely put them in that situation, because we've been there, and we've been battle tested a little bit more than they have, I think. But we did it the first year, and so 2 years ago we had them. We're up and we let them off the hook, and we went back and studied that video, that tape a lot too as well, and we want to jump out on it again. But this time, make sure that we execute throughout the game and see how they would do, and we would be able to take care of business. We did.
What else, Larry? Got anything?
Yeah. So you were talking about your defense. You were talking about, well, you gave us a pretty good recap of your offense, but I wanted to touch on your defense.
Yeah.
As well, because those guys deserve a lot of kudos as well. It was a heavyweight match. You guys were throwing haymakers. Both offenses were throwing haymakers at each other, but your defense came up with, I think, 2 big turnovers.
Yes.
Right. So talk about your defense a little bit.
We go into that game. We felt defensively, if we can get them behind and jump on them, they would pretty much be in a panic mode a little bit on offense, because they're not used to doing it. But just some things that I knew about their offense that I really thought that really helped us out. And it really did. Our defensive staff put in a hell of a game plan for those guys right there. Kiki was just, I think he had 6 sacks. I heard he do. I think he broke the sack record Von Miller had there at the school, and Marshall. And our secondary was stifling on the back end with Mario and the crew. And you got Booker's our linebacker, him and Lay. They were unbelievable. McCauley was awesome back there. Him and Sael and Akeem and Holmes and Camden. I mean, those guys played well, man. But the defense as a whole, it was one up front. Our interior continued to control the run game and got pressure on the quarterback, and then allowed him to scramble too as well and kept him in the pocket. But they came up with 2 huge turnovers that changed the game around big time. We knew we had to go get some turnovers in that game right there, and we did. And then you add in our special teams to that right there. Yeah. One of the biggest plays of the game was in the fake punt that we did. Mm-hmm. And it was unbelievable the way our kids went executed, and we did. So I couldn't say enough about our defense. To hold them 35 points. Yeah. I mean, that says a lot. That says a lot right there about our defense.
And Larry, they held them to 35 points, and yet as of today, the DeSoto defense is still averaging, giving up 16 points a game.
That's right.
They're averaging on offense. Their points for is 50 a game, and their points against is 16. 50 to 16 they're averaging right now for the season.
Yeah, they are. I'm telling you, man, our defensive staff have done a fantastic job. You got Coach Babineau, Coach Chadwick, Coach Holmes, Coach Biate, Coach Johnson, Coach Miller. I mean, those guys are doing a fantastic job right now. And I know I probably left somebody out, but they know I love them. And the great game plan, a excellent game plan, and they executed to the T.
Hey, Coach, let's talk about, when we last spoke to you, it was April of last year. And we talked a lot about, you had scheduled the number 1 team in America, St. Francis, who came down there. What has changed? I mean, since last season, all right, the beginning of last season to now, you beat Duncanville for the first time in a while. Tell me the difference in your team. Is it just that all these youngsters are older now, or did you add some pieces? Did you change schemes in any way? Are there any differences in the last 12 or 18 months?
Well, I can say this. When Duncanville was in our district, I only had lost one time in Duncanville. I used to beat the hell out of Duncanville all the time. Come back, and Sam was the head coach in 2019, and my record has not been very great against his, and finally was able to break that win streak, and I think our kids understand that, and we know how to do that. But over that time, we matured. I have had some switching of the helm with coaches and everything throughout the season and everything, but the staff, the changes came within my staff. I can tell you that right there. It came with our staff, but it also came with the coaching, and then our kids buying into our culture, and they really have bought into our culture. And it started with last year's class. It really, really did. And Tiger and them were some great kids in that, but the class that just graduated, that was that class. Mm-hmm. That was the class that told them that we were going to win it and they was going to get it started. And they did. They really did. And that class had my son and Cook and all those other guys in that class right there. And that changed. That really did change. And they started to believe and then just, of course, our culture just kicked in. So our kids understand my expectations, and I won't waver. You're gonna do it my way, and it ain't no ands, ifs, and buts about it. We're gonna do it together as a team, and they understand that now, and they believe. But it's one thing I do. I can tell you this: when I ask them to do something, and if something hadn't happened in a while, they're gonna get it done. And I've never seen anything like it. And I told them, I said, guys, I'm 1-8, I think, against Sam. We got to break this thing. I got to win in this title, but I'm 1-8 against it. They said, Coach, don't worry about it. It's done. Just like that. Yeah. It was just like the last class that said the same thing. I mean, they're unbelievable, man. And I think that's the biggest difference right there is with the coaching, and it's with our kids and our culture. I mean, you can't tell them they won't be beat. They don't. They think they will win every single game right now, and that's just part of the culture.
Coach, to me, it is so amazing when kids are convinced that they can do something, how easily they get it done. Let me ask you a question this way. You know, after a big win like this, sometimes it's easy to be complacent and have an emotional letdown from that next game. How do you and your coaching staff prepare the kids and keep their mind focused?
So like what Joe just said, was asking me, I mean, what's changed? We've changed.
Okay.
I changed last year with Cook. Our practice habits, I mean, have changed. We've changed different things when it comes to our practice and the way we practice. We changed a lot last year, and we've just gotten better and better and better and better. And, you know, it's just hard coaching and knowing that we have great coaches and we can coach. But it's just one of those things right now, man, is you can't get complacent. I won't let us. I'm not going to let us. We're not satisfied. We won't be satisfied. Plus, we have too many haters that are out there that's going to let us get complacent. So,
and he's talking, and Larry, his haters are in his own freaking state and in his own city. I couldn't believe the next day the articles I was reading how they were like shocked that they won. It's crazy.
Yeah. We love it. I mean, we take it and we run with it. And we our kids thrive off of it. I thrive off of it. I mean, we love it. And I just have some great kids because we keep all the noise out. We block out the noise. And we want to bring in a hater and put down what they've done. That's the only time they get into this family. Other than that, we block out the noise. But I can tell you this, we thrive off of it. And I'm not going to let us get complacent. We can't be complacent. We haven't done anything this year, but win a district title. We started defending our title next week, but we haven't done anything with that. It's 6 games you got to get to, and we haven't started that one yet. So our kids are hungry. Our kids are hungry for another title. I'm hungry for another title. It won't be easy, but we have to take one game at a time because you can get beat any given night. And I tell our kids this all the time. Anybody can be beat on any given night. Just don't let it be us.
That's right. So, Coach, I'm going to put my recruiting hat on, okay?
Sure.
Right. I wore this last time when we were on this. It's as close as I get to Texas as possible. So we talked. So right now, currently in the state of Texas, you are the only one with the courage to still play quality elite out-of-state teams. North Shore doesn't do it. Duncanville is not doing it anymore, according to what I've been told by their administration. You're the only one who could still, continue to play the best and wants to play the best. In 2024, or whenever you tell me, I want to bring back down the best teams I can from either Florida or California to have them experience Friday Night Lights. Tell me right now, what are we going to have to do to earn that handshake from you?
Well, it depends on our realignment. Of course, we get Texas, we do a realignment every 2 years, and we're in that process right now. And, we've already filled up some games right now as well. I know that I'm talking to ESPN and trying to get a good game on there as well. But that's all it is. I mean, it just depends on how that schedule falls. We don't know if it's going to be a 9-team district, going to be an 18 district. Right. We just don't know. And I think that it all starts with the realignment. If the realignment works out right, you know me, I will call you. We'll get things.
You are.
So we'll do that.
Yeah, so, I used to have a handful of clients in Texas. Okay, and now I still have a few. I'm dealing with a couple of 5A schools that want to host some out-of-state teams, but you're the only one in 6A right now who still has that drive to play the best, because you saw last year what happened. St. Francis, the number one team in America, came down there, beat you, and then you went on to win. To win it. So the importance of those types of games and how they equip you for your district season and your playoff season. So I'm excited because, like I said, you're at the tipping point right now to win a national championship.
You have to do that
for a Texas team. Number one, you have to win Texas, and you need that one elite out-of-state win to be grouped with everybody at the top now who's ahead of you in these polls. The one common denominator they all have that nobody in Texas has this year is a win versus an elite ranked team out of state. So next year or 2025, whenever, let's talk and let's bring the best of the best down there, and let's break some attendance records. And so many teams call me and they want to experience Friday Night Lights in Texas. However, I don't have enough willing clients like you. So you're it, man. So let's start talking when the time is right. I want to bring down there the best possible team out there, and give you a shot of winning. There hasn't been a national championship won by a Texas team in quite some time, but I think you're very capable of doing it during the next 2 years. Not only because you have the talent, but because you have the drive and you have the formula now on how to get it done.
Well, our program is really thriving right now, like I said before. And we're excited over the next 3 years at DeSoto High School. I really believe that we can continue to do some great things there. It's hard to keep your staff there because everybody's come poking at your staff and wanting your staff to leave and want to get hired as head coaches. And I want my guys to go become head coaches, number one. I really do. So I want them to be successful and become the best that they can be and to reach all their goals. So, I mean, it's hard to keep a great staff together, but so far, some way, I've had some guys that leave, become head coaches, and that's great. I'll be able to fill them in with other coaches, and we'll continue to move along like we're doing. But no, we will play. We like to play out-of-state schools, and I think you really got to play one good out-of-state school, like you said, in order to get yourself in a position
early on
to win.
I got a question for you.
Yeah.
I got a question.
Sure.
I always say you got to play these teams early on. After playing St. Francis, what did they show you needed to improve upon, and how did you do it to win out?
Wow.
Did you see anything in particular? We know they were a great team.
That game changed us.
Yeah,
it really did change us because when you're playing a prep school like that can get some kids that are 19, 20-year-olds sometimes. I mean, on that team right there, man, I didn't know that, but it changed us because we had to grow as a team, and we're the most undisciplined. That was the most undisciplined football team I've ever had. I'm not lying. And after that game right there, it changed us. It really did. I mean, heck, I had to bring in my son. My mom came in. Lori came in. His mom came in. I mean, we all came in, and we had to have a talk, about him, and changed our whole season around. Cook had to talk with him. Had to talk with all our leaders, man, because that game right there was about physicality, but we weren't disciplined.
Right.
And we became really, really disciplined after that. And we fixed the problems that we had, and we took off from there. But I think the biggest thing that we learned from that game was the physicality. The same thing with Duncanville. We had to win up front, and the physicality had to come along. And I think that's the thing that we did change, and we adapted to that. And we became a hell of a physical team this year.
Your linemen, the linemen I saw this weekend play were much bigger than those I remember a year ago. That's for sure.
We love it. I mean, we love the physicality. We love it. We want to be physical, and that's just what we do now. We have to be able to do that in order to play big boy ball. You have to at this level, and the teams like Duncanville and St. Francis is unbelievable. You have to be physical. So we became that, and that's where we are right now. That's what we're going to continue to be from here on out.
Coach, you know how I've changed since our last interview with you in 2022? So you know how coaches will scout, to prepare for the next game, that kind of stuff. So I went back and did a little bit of scouting on the last interview with you had, and I knew without a shadow of a doubt that Joe was going to bring out his Crocodile Dundee hat.
I thought this isn't a cowboy hat.
So I figured that when we interview the premier head coach in the big state of Texas. Coach, you got to go big or you got to go home, right?
True.
So,
oh yeah,
I love it.
That's a hat. That's a hat.
I love it. I love it.
Listen, I do have a serious question for you. You know, you guys have got to be considered now the odds-on favorite to win the state title this year, in my mind, anyway. So, like you said, you still got a long road ahead of you. You got to win a number of games to get to that top of the mountain. So, there's probably going to be at least a couple of teams that have you circled on their calendar. I mean, winning a big game like this after the season that you've had, you know, you've got a big bullseye on your chest, right? So, as a head coach, what concerns you the most heading into the postseason about your program?
Penalties. But this is the thing about that. The first half, we knew we was going to get some penalties against them. We knew that. We're good. Told knew that. Told them the second half no more. We had one. So our kids know. They know. But the biggest thing for me is us. I'm not worried about anybody else. I'm worried about us. We have to control us. We can't beat ourselves. We can't give teams a chance to upset us because we're helping them out. That's what we have to control. We have to control us. And if we can control us and take one game at a time, I like our chances. But if we can't do that, we're going to be in the world of trouble because we have a big old target on our back and we're always being hunted. Always. But we talked about this during the year. Our kids understand the mindset. They understand already what's about to happen because we've prepared them for this. And what they understand is, we're being hunted. We understand that. But we're hunting too. We're not the only ones. Okay. They can hunt, but we're being hunted too. And our kids are being prepared for that. But if we ever look ahead, we will be beat. Just like anybody else is, we will be. There's some great schools that we're about to play in the playoffs, and they're freaking good. And like I said before, we can be beat anytime. But the thing about us, of course, you asked, what am I concerned about? It's us. We got to control our discipline. And if we can control our discipline, we'll be just fine.
Gotcha. Okay.
Hey, Coach. Hey, Larry, you didn't know this. I was supposed to be at the game. You know, I woke up and I just had
you were.
bad cold. Coach, you know, had sideline passes for me and all that stuff.
Yeah.
I just wasn't able to make it happen. But you know, I was able to watch it on my computer the following day. So, Coach, I'm telling you right now, if you get to the promised land, I'm going to be there with you. Okay?
You gonna come, Joe? You gonna be there, big dog?
I'm coming down. I'm coming down. And I've never been to the Texas championship game before. So I'm only coming down if you make it. All right. So, and if Larry wants to come, that's great too. But that's more incentive for you, a motivation for you and your team. Because, you know, I have faith in you. I have faith. You know, I saw what you're starting to do a year and a half ago, and it's great to see it come to fruition now. And a lot of these boys are still young. So, you know, you can go on your own 30-game winning streak pretty soon, 40 or whatever. So no, that's I'm just putting it out there. If you make it that last weekend, I'm going to be there.
Yeah. Well, you know what? We have something going on right now that I haven't even discussed with our kids about, and I'm sure they probably know, but I don't ever want to bring it up because, well, I'm not going to jinx this. I don't believe in jinx anyway. But at the same time, I just think that I have a fun team. I really have a bunch of kids that we're around right now, a bunch of players that are taking care of business in the classroom and they're taking care of business on the field. And I have a great staff and a great school that's supporting us right now, and a great administration. Our superintendent, Dr. Rogers, is unbelievable. Our principal is unbelievable, Sean Joseph. I mean, we have a great cast of people, teachers that are just really supporting us right now. And you have all this surrounding you and this culture that we have here. It gives us a chance. It gives us a chance every time we walk on the field, and we continue to hope that we get that chance every single time. But again, we're going to take one game at a time. And Joe, I hope we can see you in December, man. I really do.
I can't wait.
Coach, I've got one last question for you. Now, sure. I'm going to ask you to go on the record, knowing that your team probably is going to watch this interview, right? So in practice, when you go good on good, number ones on number ones, Who's the better squad, your offense or your defense? You don't have to answer if you don't want to.
I know my defense is gonna say them. They're hands because it's them offensive guy. So they always say the defense. I'm always cheating for the offense. So I know it's gonna say they're gonna say it's gonna be the offense. But I do believe, man, that's hard. That's really hard. I will have to flip a coin. It's that tight right now. Then our special teams is playing so great right now. So as long as all three phases are playing well, I'll take it every single time. So I say you. I'm just putting all three up right now. I'm just gonna say
good answer, Coach. Good answer. All right, Joe. You got anything else for the coach?
I'm good. No, I'm good. I'm ready to go, and we're going to be watching closely as you go through each playoff game. We're going to keep watching you in the rankings. With every win, you're going to get a notch closer to the promised land. So keep doing what you're doing. You're desirable opponent and destination for anybody going forward for all the right and just reasons. So we're rooting for you, and I hope to see you in mid-December, Coach.
Well, I appreciate it, man. It's always been a pleasure to be on you guys' show, and I was on there last year, so hopefully the same thing will happen this year. But it's always been a pleasure, Larry. It's always talking to you and Joe, and I can't thank you guys enough for having me on here. And it's some fun times, but at the end of the day, it's about our players. It's about our players and our coaches, and I'm just a little guy that's in the pond right now that's enjoying the moment right now.
And the brand, man. You have a brand. You have a brand.
That DE goes a long ways. That's the national brand right there.
Over the weekend, the fact that you got up to 30,000 Instagram followers, you are a brand, Coach.
Yeah. That DE goes a long ways, man. It really does. And I think we rank third in the nation in social media right now. I think we may be number one when it comes to just the public high schools around the nation. I mean, that's how much followers we have. So kudos to our cast. I mean, our people do a great job. Our social media people, they do a great job. Jeter and Danielle, they are both awesome. Can't thank them too enough for our social media team. And Jeter he is unfreaking believable. He's a dude that gets all our social media stuff out when it comes to the videos. I mean, he's a dude. So again, it's everybody. Now Booster Club is paying them. they do a great job, man. They do a great job.
And later tonight, when this Q&A goes out, make sure he retweets that baby to your world down there.
Yeah, no doubt. He does a really good job, man. He does.
Well, Coach, congratulations once again on a fine victory. Best of luck in the postseason, rest of the year. And listen, I do have a request for you before we go. Right. So with 30,000 followers now, that's probably officially social media influencer status. When you get your first NIL deal as a head coach, you gotta make the announcement on this program. Okay.
Hey, I definitely can do that. I definitely do that. That's a promise. That's
great.
Guys, if you've enjoyed this conversation, I got to admit, this is probably one of the funnest conversations that we've had with the head coach, Joe. Guys, if you've enjoyed this, why don't you just go on over to our website, nationalhsfb.com, and join the conversation, this national conversation on this game that we love of high school football all year round, 365. Until next time, may God bless you guys, and we'll catch you later.
Appreciate it.